Evening all, hope you're doing well. We have been euphoria for a while. In fact, I think we were euphoria all week actually. Yesterday we were in complacency and stroke euphoria. So we had a big heads up about the rally, and hopefully some of you guys caught some of this movement on risk. We hit an all-time high on DAX and the FTSE, and we probably should have gone higher and we did. So it's a little bit boring because what we want is to have a dip, a nice big retracement, and so a nice entry for a long. But we weren't afforded that dip because the herd was so quick to sell. So let me talk about the indices and gold, and also to talk about the robot as well. So perhaps we can talk about the bot. Um, Basically what this one here, this is the passive bot, and it's going okay. If you come to the account history, it's gradual, very slow profit, but it is profitable. We're getting more wins and losses, so that's the passive bot. It's going fine. This is using the Twitter API and the technical. Okay, so bring that across, and the aggressive bot, which is this one, we basically what it does, it accumulates lots and lots of positions, and then when we get a breakout, we should have a nice bit of profit. Now the thing is with this breakout, we had like a fake break, and so what would have been absolutely awesome is that if we had a break and then a continuation just down here. So we stopped at 107.20ish. If we come down to 107.10, it would have been an awesome, fantastic day. But we had this big pump from the US data was slightly disappointing, and the dollar sort of sunk, and because of that, we've gone back in this horrible chop. So, in hindsight, what we could have done is perhaps reduce the TP because we were up a shed load of money on the floating, and actually at the floating profit and closed profit for today. It was going to be an absolutely fantastic day. So that could have been remedied by shortening the TP. But of course, if we reduce the TP, we could have to reduce the SL. But it's fine. It's still testing. It's demo. But it was going so well. I was thinking about, wow, if this is going to be a good day, this is going to set us up really nicely for a really powerful bot. Admittedly, it does open way too many positions, but we can reduce the size. We can have a smaller lot size. But we were up £500 today, and I was like, wow, this is really, really cool, and I had to do this. So you've got to be careful if you're trading manually or writing a robot, trying to code a bot, which is what we're doing. You've got to be careful, and it's just these kind of things. So a little bit uncertain, and it's just a little bit random, in so much as that perhaps we actually took an SLC out. It's quite possible, isn't it? I don't know if I've got not on this particular terminal, it's on the other terminal, but that's fine. There's probably likely a big stop loss cluster there, and so we had to pump. So that's the robot update. I said I was going to update you guys yesterday. I forgot to talk about the bot. So this is the aggressive bot, which is probably maybe never going to go live until we've got weeks and weeks of data, because it is very aggressive. And the passive bot's going fine, but it's just slow, steady. Okay, so it's fine. I'm quite happy with the passive bot. The aggressive bot would be absolutely awesome, but it's just those fake breakouts. It can't know in that sort of intelligent sense is that this is fake. It's not that clever. So I think the only way that we could adjust it to profit, if that ever happens, is to reduce the take profit. Okay, but the only trouble is about reducing the take profit. We won't have a massive home run like we did 2 weeks ago. We had a really, really good week. So I'm not going to make any changes to either, but and we'll just keep it as it is. Okay, so gold dead sold, and so obviously we chopped a lot. They went long and then they shorted. They went long and then they shorted. They went long and they shorted. Right. So a little bit untradable. Using this setup for the crossover, of course, unless you're scalping, You can't really swing trade that using this crossover. It's just too chaotic. And of course you have to sleep as well. And depending where you are in the world, see that 5 o'clock crossover is no good for me because I wake up at 6. You know, so just got to be careful. And so that's gold. Very, very choppy. Let's talk about the indices. So we're going to S&P. S&P was slightly naughty in so much as that this bit here, it tells us that they've gone long. Okay, here they got punished for 3 hours, but then they got really paid, and we're continuing higher. And it's possible we're going to make a buy. If we get the crossover here, then we're going to make a box, which would be a support box, and out we go. So this was slightly naughty. Okay, so it's unusual for them to get paid, but we have to remember they're very, very short at the big picture level. Okay, you know, there's only 23% are long, so it's quite a skewed market. US 30. Where were we? There we go. And this didn't reward them. It completely punished them. So, so that's fine. They went long, so they did actually get punished for several hours. And at that point, they were like, "Oh, I don't like this anymore. I'm gonna have to sell it," because you know we've come from it's a 100-point move. It's not that big, but it's probably scary enough for the retail guys, and so they decided to sell just shy of that hour. See that line here? So they just sold here, and by selling, it pushed price higher, and DAX, and that's it, I guess. So it'll just be a quick one today because there isn't that much to talk about because the indices are pumping, and because of that, we haven't got no need for a strong dollar. We don't really have a strong need for any flight to safety in the US Treasuries and also yen as well. And there's talk about an intervention that they might do, quite likely, you know, perhaps at the start of next week. So you've got to be careful with cross yen, okay? And DAX, well, you can see that they sold, and then they sold. Admittedly, they've gone along a little bit, but then they were quick to sell, and now we're sideways. Now the thing is, if this MA starts going sideways, it will tell us that we're going to be topping out up here. So it looks like we're starting to go a little bit sideways in the MA. So any crossovers of the MA could be risky sells, okay? But I'll be really, really, really careful with this because it's an absolute beast. And what I'll do is, just before I wrap up this video, I'm going to zoom out so you can see what a beast it is, and so you know that you mustn't really fight that trend. And at that point here, when we hit the flip, that's the point of entry. So this is what the QDB game plan is that we're waiting for the flip. All right, so until we get that, I wouldn't recommend going long because you might get a little bit chopped up here. But if we get this sell then buy, that's the setup. That's our setup for entry at 14,694. We're 18,738, and we could have just held that because we would know that we're on the right side because we're green down here, and then you just hold it. You know, we've got such a nice entry, we can afford these retracements. That won't impact us, although it will be a little bit scary. We know that we're on the right side because there's a lot, you know, there's a lot of green area down there, and that's what we are going to do. But we have to be patient. And so if I come across as like, oh, this is boring, you know, I probably like to like snooze or yawn emojis, it's just simply because we just want to wait for things to flip. But at the moment, it's unlikely that's going to happen, and possibly until these guys get margin called. Okay, so we can have to be a bit patient and just hope and pray that these guys get stopped out and they don't actually wait for their margin call. They actually use some of their brain and then they get stopped out. But I think we're dealing with apes and they're not really engaging their brain, so we'll just have to be patient with it. So that's today's video, and this is the wrap up for the week. We'll be back on Sunday for the COP data and also the Sunday bulletin video as well. So not much to talk about today, just that we were euphoric all week, and so we bumped, and that's it. So remember to trade safely, and I'm around if you need me. Just let me know, and have a good evening, and I'll speak to you soon. Risk disclaimer: for anything that you do in the financial world is that you will need to use very strict risk management. So if you don't have the risk management in play, you're pretty much gambling, okay? And we really want to be looking at trading, and we want to be looking at risk to rewards. And in order to get a good reward, you need to define your risk. And if you don't know where your stops are, if you haven't defined your risk, then you could end up losing all your capital, okay? So you need to know where your exit is, and then by knowing that, then you can forecast your profit. But if you're entering willy-nilly based on some information that you found on the internet, and you've entered without knowing where your stop is, you're going to encounter huge losses. So just to say is that it carries a huge level of risk, and it may not be suitable for all investors, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Okay, so it's a quick disclaimer there.